Hey, it's Patty. I wanted to take a minute to talk about a topic that's come up with some of my friends, some of my clients, and just some things that I've seen posted online. And this is about stress eating and emotional eating, or possibly binge eating. So I'm guessing that most of you are home. You bought all the groceries and you're staying home. You're working from home. You have maybe kids at home because there's no school. You have your partner that might be around 24/7. You have pets that are kind of freaking out because you're home and they're making a lot of noise. And or maybe you haven't physically seen a human being in a couple of days because you're doing the responsible thing during the social distancing that we're doing to flatten the curve on this coronavirus. You probably prepped by buying a bunch of food at the grocery store, which was also responsible. We don't know what's happening, and that's a little scary. So you might have a lot of food at your house that you're not used to having, or just more food than you're used to having. Now let's have all that food and put on top of it a really stressful situation. And that is just a recipe for disaster if you're prone to stress eating or binge eating or emotional eating. Now, I am reading from some notes because if you know me, I can go down rabbit holes and start telling stories, and I'm really trying to stay on topic. So, times of stress eating can be super triggering for people with a history of disordered eating, or just, and I think a lot of us have some tinge of disordered eating in our past, whether it's eating too much or stress eating is just something that I do. It can go from pretty severe, people that have eating disorders, either past or present, or just, I don't have a great relationship with food and I don't really feel in control of it. It can be super upsetting to have this problem, a little bit demoralizing to talk about this problem. I know I don't like to. I was raised Southern with that whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If you have a problem, you just deal with it and fix it. And so to talk about having an issue with not being able to stop eating or control what you eat or do it in a sane way is not fun to talk about. I know I hate to admit when I can't solve something on my own, or when I eat the entire pantry and I feel like crap and I'm scared and I'm emotional. And stress eating can poke at all those vulnerable parts of our personality. So I do want to say one thing. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. So if this is beyond just stress eating and you feel like you need more support, then let me know and I'll point you in the right direction. I'll point you in a different direction. It will not be with me. But if you're just someone who's like eating too much and stressed about it and you just want some tips, you're in the right place. So, I've heard from a lot of people, a lot of my clients, like I said, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm stress eating. I have all this food in my house. And I think we're all just looking for something to do, some way to help people. And I was like, I know what to do. I can help with this. That's why I wanted to put this together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover some of the reasons and kind of demystify stress eating and emotional eating, and then also give you some really concrete solutions on what to do, because I think it's important that we know why it's happening. But I think it's also like, lady, tell me what to do to make it stop. So I can't guarantee it'll stop it, but I'm going to give you some tips, just in my experience, have been really helpful. So to start, what is emotional eating and just how am I defining it? There are a couple of reasons that we eat. We eat for nutritional reasons, and we want to feed our bodies, and we want our bodies to be strong, we want them to breathe, and we want food to go to our muscles, and that's a perfectly wonderful reason to eat. It's the most basic reason. And another reason, which I think is equally as important, is for pleasure. When you eat that amazing meal, and we've all had that, where you eat and it's so good and you have a great conversation and you're laughing and you're enjoying it, and that's a wonderful reason to eat. Emotional eating or stress eating is when you're eating for reasons other than those. When you're eating to take care of some other need. And it is meeting a need, but there's a big difference and actually a big digestive difference that I'll go into in a meal prepared with love and prepared with care. And even that Thanksgiving meal, even that big meal, even a small meal, there's a difference in that and standing in front of the pantry, eating the Pop-Tarts dipped in peanut butter, and then having a handful of chips, and then walking back to your couch and thinking, I want popcorn, and then eating that, and then not remembering you ate it, and your stomach hurts, but it sure would feel good to have, a couple of pieces of toast, and then I'm gonna have some Fanta, and then it's just like this vicious cycle. So again, emotional eating is trying to do something. It is trying to solve a problem. It's trying to give your body something. Just like the nutritional eating for nutrition and eating for pleasure, emotional eating is trying to solve a problem. Now, right now, we are craving control and we're craving comfort. And on a cellular level, we want stability. For someone who has a history of disordered eating, or right now, just pretty much anyone with an overload of stress, even low levels of stress, that slow dripping of stress, that control is enormous. It's what we want, and we feel that stress all the time. So it can completely take over. Now, it can take the form of, I'm going to control exactly what I'm going to eat, and I'm going to have a meal plan, or it can take the plate. It can be spinning out of control. It can take either of those forms. A big way that I know that it's emotional eating is I feel separate. I get mad at my body, which it sounds kind of crazy, but it's like, I've eaten all this food and this is my brain, and I've eaten all this food and my body is my enemy, and my body has made me eat all this food, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And so why was my mouth doing it? Why was my body eating it? Why couldn't it stop? Why couldn't I have control? And it is almost like that out-of-body experience. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you may not have felt this, but that stress eating, when you just feel completely out of control or just numbed out and you don't even remember it happening. So knowing that your body is trying to stay alive and wants control and wants all these things, what we need to do is we need to break that cycle, and we need to get you back, your brain and your body, on the same page. They are the same thing and talking to each other. So here's what I like to do is I like to have a conversation, and when I find myself stress eating, I just call it out. I'm standing in front of my pantry, or I'm sitting on my couch, I'm eating something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm stress eating. I'm stress eating right now. And I even say it out loud, I'm stress eating. And maybe I have a conversation with myself, or maybe I write down in a journal. So I think it's just calling it like it is and just talking about it to yourself is so incredibly important. I actually wrote down a little conversation. So let's say you find yourself stress eating and you're like, I'm stress eating. I notice I'm doing this, and I want to eat all this food. Why am I doing this? And your body, which you might still be feeling a little bit separate. Your body might just be like, shut up and eat the Fritos. We don't need to have a conversation right now. So one thing that's super important is that I want you to know that I am not going to tell you to put away the Fritos. I'm not going to tell you to put away any food. And I think that is very counterproductive. You need to know that you can have anything you want. You're a grown-ass woman, a grown-ass man, you're a grown adult. So we're going to take the Fritos and we're going to just put them aside for just a minute. What I like to do is in the conversation. So you have the Fritos, and okay, I'm stress eating. What am I trying to solve? What does my body want? What do I want right now? What's the need? And just start brainstorming those things. I want to know what's going on with this virus. I want to know I want to know if my family's going to be okay. I want to know if my job's going to be okay. I want to know if my children are going to be okay. I want to know how many people are going to die. I want to know how long we have to be in quarantine. I want to know when they're going to have a cure. I want to know just all of those things. I want unlimited toilet paper. I want everybody to be safe. I want all of those things, and just get them out of your head. Just say them, write them down. Just say these emotional things again while you're holding the Fritos, because I'm okay if you have them later. I don't care. So, what would help? What would help? What would help me right now? And then I want you to come at it with no judgment. You've gotten out all those emotional things. And now ask yourself, would eating beyond being full and eating for any reason other than pleasure and nutrition, would that help right now? And you might say, Yes. You might say no, or you might say no, but I'm still going to eat it. And any of those answers are okay, because what we're trying to do is break that cycle and have you mindfully eat the Fritos. And that's going to be a huge step, because this isn't something that, I'm not pretending that I have like 3 easy steps to never stress eat again. I don't have that. I don't stress eat that much anymore, and it has taken years of working these skills, of letting myself have permission to eat whatever I want and having these conversations. So let's say you have the Fritos and you're like, would this help me right now? And that's when you make the decision, but you're having these conversations with yourself. Okay. I have to show you one thing that's really funny. I lick my fingers when I turn pages, and so I have a little paper towel because I know it's, okay. Anyway, the whole point here is to help you slow down and to help you kind of get in touch with your digestion. And, if you find that you still want whatever food it is after you've had that conversation, I'm saying, yes, you can have the Fritos, but I'm also saying go big or go home, or go big and stay home. Once you've decided like food is going to do it for me, have the really good food that you want and make it that luxurious meal. And that may take a while to make that snap, but it takes you away from just that mindless eating. There's another thing beyond talking about like emotionally and stress eating. And even if you're eating nutritious food, there is a big digestive difference in eating when you're in a panic state and eating when you're in a relaxed state. And that has to do with your autonomic nervous system and the 2 branches of it. So you have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. They can't work at the same time. One works, the other one doesn't. The sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight, and your parasympathetic is your rest and digest. So your sympathetic nervous system is the run into the burning building to save your cat. And when you do that, you don't care about digesting, you don't care about reproducing, you don't care about going to the bathroom, you don't care about anything beyond adrenaline and go. And when you're in the parasympathetic state, that's when you're relaxed, your body can digest, and your body can eliminate food properly, and your body can reproduce. So there are all of these things, these 2 different functions, and it's pretty miraculous that our body can figure out the 2, but they don't happen at the same time. So when you have low levels of stress, because our bodies are made, if you think back to like when we used to like run from bears and run from lions or whatever, that it's made for short bursts of adrenaline and then lots of rest and digest and lots of relaxing. And what we're in right now is a slow drip of stress all the time. And we were already pretty chronic about that. And some of the tricks about like slowing down before eating was super important with clients that I work with and myself. And it's even more important now. So imagine you are in a state of out of control, not knowing, working from home, different situation, different food around. And even if you put nutritious food in your body isn't set up to digest properly. But there's hope. There is a way that you can trick your body into getting into the parasympathetic state. And the way to do that is to slow down. And again, having the conversation with yourself does help you kind of like scratch the needle on the record a little bit and slow down. But to really slow down, what you need to do is take 10 slow breaths if you can. Really calm, in through your nose, out through your nose, and slow down your nervous system. So meditation, daily meditation really helps with this. Meditation is actually a way to be mindful in my experience. And it's something that you need to really work that muscle so you can do that. If you just decide, okay, I'm going to be mindful at any point, it's difficult to do. But if you're doing that work of daily meditation, almost like training for a 10K or training for a marathon, you have to do that training to get yourself to be able to snap into a state of rest and digest and being mindful. So it is something that you do have to practice. So let's say that you catch yourself mid-stress eat, or before you stress eat. There are some things you can do, and I promised you I'd tell you some things. A couple of things that have worked really well for me and my clients. So hot liquids. If you get tea, if you get coffee, if you get hot apple cider, hot water with lemon, bone broth, any of those. And it's something that you can know you're about to eat a lot, and that's okay. Know you're going to stress eat, but have a liquid that slows you down and that you can sip. Sometimes that puts you in a state of going, okay, what is it I really want? The other thing I like to do is if I know I come home or I've done a lot and I haven't eaten and I'm like, I'm so hungry, I want to eat all the food, is don't laugh at me, a big spinach salad with avocado. So leafy greens, healthy fats, and I mean the whole avocado, and then a super tart vinegary dressing, and then whatever else you want to throw in there, and just eat that while you're thinking, okay, what is it that I do want to eat? And I mean, I'll eat a big spinach salad and then go, okay, I want ice cream. So you kind of slow yourself down and get satiated on some food that you know is going to feel good to your body. Baked potatoes, baked sweet potatoes with butter, salsa, whatever it is you want. I recommend having them in the microwave, and I don't recommend the microwave a lot, but you want something quick. So you don't want to wait an hour while your potato bakes. But baked potatoes just give you that fluffy feeling, which is so nice. The other thing, hydrate. And we all know this. You might be thirsty instead of hungry. And the other thing is, if you are going to eat a lot of chips and a lot of salty foods, and that's fine if you make the decision to do that, you want to make sure that you help your body flush those things out so you're not retaining a lot of water. And you might try other foods and they may work better for you. This is just what has worked for me, but try with different things. The whole key is to break that cycle and be mindful about what you're eating. And here's the thing. It's really important, and I've said this before about the Fritos, it's really important to give yourself permission to eat whatever it is that you want so your body isn't rebelling like a teenager. It's just slowing down and doing it mindfully. And then that way you'll choose the things that do meet the needs that you're trying to meet. So again, having the conversation, and then some of those things about the hot liquids, having the big salad, having baked potatoes. There are certain foods that do cause cravings or cause you to kind of get into that vicious cycle. I think we know those are going to be the super salty, the foods filled with chemicals, and the foods that are high in sugar. So if you can set up a situation where you have foods that aren't those, like some of the spinach salads, like some whole grains, like some things that you can just have if you know that's going to help you start them. Anyway, oh my God, you know what? I finished my notes and now I'm starting to go down a rabbit hole, so I'm going to stop. Okay. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments or, some different insights on that, please let me know. I hope this helps, and, just continue to do what we're doing and stay healthy.